Hello, it's Mike from Dimensional Walking. And today I want to talk about something I'm going to call Hidden Realms Encounters with the Wee Folk, okay, or Wee People, however you want to say it. So I was hanging out several years ago with a cryptic group from the Four Corners. And I was inspired to write about these small, I guess, miniature people, okay? One of the Native Americans in the group told a great story about some wee folk uh, who, in present day, would come to their doors. And actually, what he was saying was they had these wee people on the reservation, in parts of the reservation, and they would come, and it usually, I think he said, was in the fall, uh, and start basically, I guess, begging for food. Uh, but uh, the people actually did give him food, right? At first, they would tell him, go away, don't come back, blah, blah, blah. But one of the problems with the wee people is they'll get pretty angry, okay? Uh, and you don't want to have an angry wee person around your house because they're tricksters, okay? So let's go into a little history. So the wee people have been known in history as the leprechauns in Ireland, I think I got to pronounce this right. It's the Miniha of Hawaii, the gnomes of Germany, the pixies of England. Okay, so these are all I call wee people or wee folks. Okay, uh, so that they have various different names, and there's other ones around the globe with all kinds of different interesting names, but it's pretty much global or wide. Um, uh, so, some of them are really tiny, are really small. Some are 4 inches tall, and maybe those are the smallest ones, and the tallest ones are probably around 3 feet. Okay, I believe the ones that the American person was talking about, I think they were around 2 feet. That's what he said, 1.5, 2 feet. And he had seen them one time, but the stories were pretty common on this particular reservation in the Four Corners area. Um, let me tell you a little bit about, excuse me, on the thumbnail of this video, I want to tell you what that is because that is, I believe, a wee person that I had caught on camera in the Sandia Mountains. Right outside of Albuquerque. So I was out there exploring for Sasquatch and other cryptids, which I had done quite frequently when I lived there, right outside of Albuquerque. And I was just taking basically a random shot, which I do a lot. I used to do a lot of. I still do a little bit of it. Vortex photography, where I'll go around and just take random shots in the dark areas. Okay. And the reason I do it in a dark area is because a wise old shaman, Indian shaman that used to work for me in Albuquerque actually told me about vortex photography. I had done it before, but I didn't really understand it that well. I just happened to do it. I did it up in Washington State with Kiwani. That's kind of really where it started. But then I kind of refined it a little bit, and whenever I had a chance to talk to some Native American shaman, I would ask them some questions about it, and they would say always point in the dark part of the forest or that, and that's where you see a lot of this stuff. Okay, so anyways, that's what I was doing on Sandia Mountain one day, and I got that shot. Now I hope you can see it. I'm not going to tell you that everybody that looks at it can conceive or see of this little fairy person. I always call her a fairy princess. I don't know if that's the way she looks to me. She's got this really nice little cute face, and she has this kind of looks like a deer skin wrapped around her head. Okay, and it's in the center of the little thumbnail. Okay, hopefully you can see it, but I feel pretty confident that is a wee person. I've also gotten fairies. Also gotten other entities, that would be considered we people. I've gotten brownies. Actually, I have a really nice one of a brownie. Um, but anyways, so that's what I got. Like I say, hopefully you can see it. Uh, so why do people today, my question is, why do people today still believe that they see these we people? So there was this person I ran across that had an interesting story, and this was a New Mexico story. And there was a group of this family was camping east of the Sandia Mountain. Now, Sandia Mountain is where I actually got that little photo, and I had a lot of great experiences on Sandia Mountain. All kinds of stuff with cryptids and fairies and Sasquatch. I can go on and on, and I've written about it and did videos on all this stuff. So they were sitting around their camp, around the camp, and a wee person about 2 feet tall wandered um, into the camp, and it looked a bit confused and hungry. So they gave him some food and drink, but it would not leave. It would not leave them, but it would not talk either. Okay. So they were concerned about its health and its safety because they couldn't leave it, there because they were going to leave shortly. I mean, they were out camping, so they weren't there forever. And so they contacted the forest ranger up there, and I can't remember the name of the national forest up there, but there is one up there for help. But what happened next was pretty profound to them. It was pretty scary to them. All of a sudden, 4 armed men came and took the wee person away. Okay, so there was some real interest, the government or somebody that whoever the ranger did, and I assume the ranger contacted some authority in the region in the area, the sheriff's department or somebody, and they somebody came and took it away armed, which is pretty profound. Unless they thought it was an alien or something, I don't know. So So it would seem possibly that this was not the first wee person that was caught or captured in the forest, or in this particular forest, I guess, because they seem to know right away that they needed to come. The arms, I don't get the military style arms though that they described this as. Um, so so my gut feeling is like UFOs and Bigfoot, the governments of the world know a lot about these wee people. Okay, and they're quite interested in it, I would think, if they're pulling them away because any of my experiences I've had with them and the Native Americans I've had that conveyed information about them to me seemed that there wasn't really any complete danger or anything. They're tricksters and they'll do some things. Now, they've never done anything to me that I'm aware of, but the Native Americans, of course, apparently they had when they were refused to give them food and drink. Okay, so maybe there's more sinisterness to them. I don't know. Um, so here's some more interesting facts about wee people. So they like to wear these bright colored clothing. Okay, now I can't really say I've witnessed that. The particular one I'm thinking of that the thumbnail's about, she had this very cool looking deerskin draped around her head. I don't want to consider that very dark. It's actually camouflaging, actually, at the very least. And they also wear some crazy hats sometimes, I was told. They love rituals in all respects of their lives. They live in family groups. They are pretty much vegetarian. Okay. They love natural alcohol. Okay. They like, honey and berry fermentation. And they prefer living in rocky, hilly woodlands. And again, Sandia is obviously rocky, hilly uh, woodlands, all wood, a lot of rocks, kind of a mountain area. Perfect for them, I guess. They're super strong for their size. Uh, 2 of them can easily capture. This is what they're saying. 2 of them, this is the Native Americans again. 2 of them can easily capture a man and basically carry them away. Okay. And I don't know where I get this information from, but I was also told they can run extremely fast, uh, up to 35 miles an hour, which is like huge, which is faster than a man can run, I believe. If I'm mistaken, the fastest man can run close to 30, but it's under 30, I think, in short sprints. These apparently can run 35 miles an hour. Um, so again, I just want to mention the trickster thing. You got to be careful around them, because the simple fact that sometimes the outcomes do not end happily. And I guess one of the old legends was Gulliver's Travels. If you remember Gulliver, he was I think he was an average sized man, if I remember correctly. And then all these little wee people came around and tied him down. And golly, the story goes on and on, but it's a really interesting story. If you haven't ever read it, you should. Uh, so there's some these there are these cultural variations between the leprechauns and the mihihu from Hawaii and the gnomes and the pixies. But they do have this unique characteristic that's very common. Their small stature and a connection to the natural world. Those are probably the two things. Their appearances can be very different in many ways, but they do have those two common things. Um, so also the other thing is there is this universal ality to the fact that the we people may basically tap into fundamental aspect of human perception and storytelling. The idea that hidden communities exist alongside of our own, just beyond the veil of everyday reality, is a powerful and persistent theme. Okay, so it's like they're out there, they're they're maybe watching us at all times. And I live in a property that goes up against the national forest, or goes up against a lumber warehouser property, which is vast with forests, and nobody's out there except for occasionally I walk back in there, or some of our property has a lot of trees and gullies and what do you call it? And I'm always stopping and looking and being quiet and seeing if I can perceive anything or see anything. Sometimes the best place to do this, I understand, is just go back down by a little stream or a little creek or something that has running water and just sit there silently. Um, and hopefully they won't tie you up when they do find you, because that's what they can do if they want, I guess. Like Gulliver Travels, I guess. So, anyways, the description of their social structure is very important. The description of their living in family groups, adhering to rituals. Of course, we humanize those rituals, making them more uh, relatable to us, right? Um, it is not difficult to see one if you are patient. And this is what I'm saying. You have to be patient with them. You have to go to this little place, maybe by a stream or a brook or whatever. Just sit there. Maybe you only sit there for half an hour or so. Just be silent and quiet. Maybe do a little meditation. And chances are, maybe it take you years. I don't know. But sooner or later, you will probably have some type of encounter with one or two or a bunch. Okay. Again, be cautious. Uh, I think there's no problem with you kind of seeing them at a distance, but the interaction is where a little danger comes in with them. Okay. Yeah. Anyways, um, so there was an old friend of mine. I'm gonna tell you another little story. Old friend of mine who lived in southern Indiana. He lived close to a small stream, as I was just talking about, which was a very wooded area with banks, which had a few little small caves in it. As a kid, he would play mostly alone, but he was not alone. The area was teeming with very small uh, uh, humanoids, or humanids, the wee people. Okay. He did not interact with them much, but they would come out and watch him. Okay. But he did see dozens of them over his childhood. So once you're in the area, you can come back. probably alone. This is where it gets tricky. You probably want to stay alone. I think maybe two people, but alone seems to be a theme. You go there alone and sit quietly and you just kind of wait and be patient. Like I say, this could take a long time. Eventually, we'll see them. And then you will be able to go back and see them over and over again. Okay? There's no doubt about it because then that little bit of that relationship is starting to be built. Uh, so this guy moved away from the area in southern Indiana, again, is what we were talking about. And many years, uh, he returned many years later and just to see if he could still see them, right? And to his delight, the wee people were still there. He went there, he sat down, did exactly what he used to do, and he was able to see them again. He was just thrilled to death. Um, so, where do we go? So these wee people are very cool. And again, I want to just say to you, you have to be cautious around them because they can be grumpy. They can get grumpy with you. And if they get grumpy with you, who knows? Who knows what could happen? And one more thing that I was told, this is by a Native American shaman. Be careful if you give them anything shiny, okay? Because they really think, uh, because they're going to give you something back. One of the things with them, they like to trade. They're traders, okay? They will actually trade little things with trinkets with you, okay? Um, Sometimes if they give you a trinket that has really good value, like maybe a little gold nugget, because they are by the streams and they probably do pan for gold. If they give you a gold nugget or something of high value, and they know what the value is, they're smart, okay? They're going to probably ask or want you to do something, and maybe you don't want to do it, but then you're kind of hooked into it. So, bottom line is be careful, but enjoy. I would never be afraid of them. Anyways, happy trails until we meet again. We'll see you. Bye bye.